Reimagining Success, episode 261. You're listening to the Reimagining Success podcast, where we help you design a business and a life that allows you freedom from the 9 to 5. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg, ex-corporate good girl, now a business mentor and coach, author, mum of 2, and I'm here to help you create more freedom, flexibility and fulfillment. Now let's get started with redefining success outside of the 9 to 5. Hello there, welcome back to the podcast as we have our final episode in the series we've been having along the lines of thinking like an entrepreneur. So if you haven't listened to the previous episodes, I'd love for you to go back. There's no particular order, although there is sort of a logic in my own mind, but that's just for me. There is a sort of chronological order, I suppose, in how we implement these. And resilience is the topic for today, because resilience is sort of, when we've done all the other things, we've got the amazing self-awareness, growth mindset, courage, intrinsic motivation, adaptability, we've done all the things. We've been accountable, and it still doesn't go well. It still doesn't go as we'd hoped. That's when we need resilience. So that's why I'm finishing with resilience. In fact, it's one of my pillars of the 5 pillars of building a business and a life outside the 9 to 5 is my second pillar, cultivating confidence and resilience. So that's the final topic in the series. Next week, we've got an interview and then we'll see where we go in November. But let's talk about resilience. So as I think I've talked about stagnation and challenges quite a bit the last few weeks as we've looked at thinking like an entrepreneur. But the problem is there are challenges. We're all adults here. I think we've all experienced setbacks and challenges along the way. And if we're not resilient, and it sounds a bit flippant, but we can become paralyzed. It's easy to say, oh, we need to be resilient. But you know, the person I most think of in this context is my granddad. He tragically lost his mother, his brother, and eventually his dad very young. And he had this really hard upbringing without going into any of the details. Apart from that's already pretty tragic. And I can't imagine that kind of, that kind of trauma from early on. He was the most positive, amazing, funny, loving, like he was just my favorite person in the world. And, you know, talk about resilience, growing up like that and still coming out, you just would not have known it. And yet, not to belittle people's experience, because everyone's experience is their own, we all know that person who seems to just always have something happening to them, and it doesn't seem to be who are we to judge, but they seem so, unfortunately, unable to cope with the tiniest little thing. And to be honest, you know, I've always thought of myself as really, really strong and independent and so on. And maybe that's, to my detriment, because if you build that up, you're likely to crash at some point. And with lack of sleep, with my little ones, with, stress and various things that can happen, we can be less resilient. I have been less resilient in different phases of my life more recently. So, it's not that you are resilient or not. And if we're going to embrace that growth mindset, we need to know that this is something we can absolutely cultivate. Now, yes, some people are born with it more naturally than others, but it's definitely something we can cultivate. If we're not so resilient, then, it's very likely that we're going to lose the motivation and enthusiasm we have for the thing that we're working on, right? For the business, for the project, and for the role that we're in, because if we just keep having those repeated failures, setback after setback after setback, and sometimes that's telling us something in itself, and that maybe we do need to pivot and be adaptable. But unfortunately, it can wear us down. And at that point, it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, because we're not motivated and we don't have that drive. We're then kind of making it an inevitability almost, because, we're just not doing the things we need to do. We're kind of leaning back instead of leaning in at the very moment we need to make more effort. And I think I've said this about 100 times the last few weeks, we're missing out on opportunities for learning. Because if we're just, oh my goodness, woe is me, this has happened, we're blinded. By all means, scream and shout, I always say, for a moment, for a few minutes, whatever. But then we need to get back to work. We're missing out on those opportunities for, okay, what can I learn from this? Well, no one showed up to this workshop. Maybe I didn't advertise it enough. I only talked about it a couple of times because I was a bit worried or I was a bit busy. Okay, next time what can I do? I can message these people who are warm leads who, are interested before. I can publish, I can do some live videos on it, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe a workshop is not the right thing for me right now because I just don't have capacity. So maybe I need to think of another way to show up and add value, etc. Right? So there are opportunities to learn and grow. And I think not having the resilience and knowing that we don't have that resilience, again, is going to cultivate that fear of failure, because we know it's going to be so hard to bounce back from it. We're not going to be able to bounce back from it. And therefore, we stay maybe in our comfort zone. We don't take those risks. We don't push ourselves. We don't look for the opportunities to grow. And then again, it becomes almost a self-fulfilling prophecy as the comfort zone shrinks around us, and we become less resilient as a result. If we can, let's be positive, when we develop that greater resilience, we can far more easily bounce back from, let's face it, the inevitable failures and setbacks. We can turn failures into stepping stones for success. It all sounds very rah-rah, but it's true. I can learn from this. Okay, I didn't show up there, so I need to do this. I got that feedback. How can I apply that next time? Not taking it personally. There's the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz that I read years ago. And one of the 4 agreements that I always remember is don't take things personally. Don't take the setback personally, even if it is your business, the project you've been working on, so inextricably linked with who you are and you're so passionate about it. They're not saying no to you, they're saying no to the product, the service, the offering, the thing. Don't take it personally. They don't care, let's be honest. That's the harsh truth. They don't care at all nearly as much as you do. They're not, if they're not responding to you when you're proactively doing outreach, if they're not picking up the phone, if they're not answering, if they say no to your proposal, it's not you. There's 3,000 other reasons why they're saying no or not wanting to work with you, let's say. So bouncing back is so much easier. That is really the definition of resilience, in fact. I think it actually is the Latin resilience, to sort of bounce back from failure. Adapting to change, we've talked about this in adaptability. We're so much better equipped to adapt to those changes in the market, in the industry, if we're adaptable, if we're resilient, and then we can thrive even in those very uncertain and ambiguous and volatile times. So we're like, yeah, whatever you throw at me, I'll deal with it. No worries. You can almost like laugh it off. I know it's easy to be flippant about it again, but if we can have a bit of sense of humour, this happened, what can we do now? That's better than being sort of really attached to it and taking it really personally again. And my goodness, focus and determination and momentum is so important to keep things going in the business and in your work. And so if you have that resilience, it helps you to maintain that focus and momentum rather than always having to go, it's so terrible. Now I need to pick myself back up again and re-motivate myself and get myself going and get back into a routine. If I can stay in that steady rhythm, and it won't always be steady. There are seasons, there are ups and downs, there's pull, there's push, there's illness, there's holiday, all sorts. But try to stay in that routine and the rhythm. And you can't see me, but I'm kind of moving my hands in a forward motion, circular motion, cyclical motion, whatever you want to call it. So really to stay committed to your long-term goals despite the challenges. And finally, as ever, how can we cultivate that resilience then? Well, it comes down to a few of the things we've talked about. The growth mindset, and again, the book is Mindset by Carol Dweck. It's a growth mindset rather than the fixed mindset, is so key in fostering resilience, right? We need to reframe any challenge as an opportunity for growth and improvement. This is actually testing my idea to the point that it's going to be so much stronger coming out of it. I will be so much stronger once I've addressed this challenge and adapted, right? And if your business idea, let's say, just magically has some incredible stroke of luck and just kind of zooms through everything without having any kind of challenge, most likely it's not as robust as it would be if it had gone through all those different challenges and pivots and feedbacks and so on. And there'll be something else that kind of makes it crash and burn, not to mention makes you suddenly lose your confidence because it's going so well and you think, must be because I'm amazing. It's like your first child is really easy and then you go, I'm such an amazing parent, and then your second one comes and I was like, oops, no, it was just genetics, it wasn't my parenting. So developing that growth mindset is so important, reframing the challenge as an opportunity for growth and improvement. And then building a support network. I said that my second pillar is cultivating confidence and resilience. And one of the key parts there that I talk about in the Business Academy and the book Outside the 9 to 5 as well is about building a support network. Do not underestimate the importance of surrounding yourself with a supportive network of mentors, peers, advisors. Look for guidance, share experiences. I have the ABCDE. Let's see if I can remember them. So A is accountability. We talked about that ownership mentality last week, but holding yourself accountable, having other people to help you be accountable, accountability partners is so important. The B is belief. people who believe in you, whether it's a supportive partner is often the case if you're lucky, or family or friends or peers, right? C is community. So really having that sense of belonging, again, among your peers, feeling part of like, hey, we're all working, we're all trying to make this work. This is what we're doing. We're out there doing it. That's so, so important. Again, if we come back to intrinsic motivation, that sense of belonging is really one of the core foundational human needs. So that's C. D is disconnecting. So having, and we'll talk about self-care in a moment, but disconnecting from work, having friends and family who don't care so much about your work and who will help you just completely, enjoy, disconnect, take time off, whether it's a holiday or an evening, a weekend, whatever it is, or a moment, going for a walk with someone and having a phone call with someone, whatever, connecting with someone. And then finally, the E in the ABCDE is the expert, right? So having a mentor, a coach, someone to guide you is really valuable as well. But that support network, especially when you're on your own, is indispensable and necessary, in fact. And then finally, yes, practicing self-care. So this means, of course, finding coping mechanisms to manage stress, hopefully to avoid it. Now, we can't completely avoid it, but at least first designing our week and our schedule in a way that's not, at least insofar as we can, optimally planning around our time and our energy, not putting back-to-back calls and meetings, not putting stressful things together when we're about to go on holiday or we know the kids or whatever it is, right? Sometimes we have to, but trying to avoid those. I have in the past taken on workshops, webinars to do like either super early in the morning or when the kids were home, which I wouldn't usually do. And I think, I just do it exceptionally. Inevitably, the kids are screaming next door, something's not worked out. They don't want to leave the house, whatever it is, with dad or whoever they're with. In fact, it's always dad so far. So, taking care of yourself, finding a way to design your schedule. I always want to say schedule, but I think that's the American. And then managing the stress when it happens. So in the moment, you've got your short-term way of dealing with it. What can I do? Deep breaths, go for a walk. And then long-term, you need to start saying no to things, aligning, making sure you're saying yes to the things that are aligned and so on. Finding a self-care ritual, whether it's meditation, practicing mindfulness, yoga. For me, the non-negotiables are going for walks, fresh air. Sounds so trivial, but so basic, right? Ultimately prioritizing your well-being. In fact, I almost want to make that a trait in itself, this whole piece, because taking care of yourself is so foundational and it cuts through everything in terms of taking ownership and not blaming others. And you can go to bed a bit early, you can drink more water, you can plan healthier meals and so on. You can make that a priority. I don't want to patronize you, but it's so foundational to how we feel and how we are. If you think Maslow, whatever your thoughts on this, but the foundation of having that basic survival and wellness is necessary in order to, if you're ever to try to self-actualize yourself and have all this high fluting fulfillment and so on, you need to be well. When I haven't slept, oh my goodness, I do not care about purpose and meaning. I just want to sleep. So, speaking from my own experience, taking care of yourself is absolutely foundational. Not judging anyone, things are hard, can be hard. I connect with a lot of you and I hear that really sad things have happened, are happening, unexpected, health, family, really tragic things, and every empathy and understanding for that. And if we can develop, if we can prioritize that self-care, have the support network, and really try to cultivate that resilience. It's not to say that pain goes away and so on. And there's a book, in fact, I'd recommend if you are going through something like that, Solve for Happiness by Mo Gawdat. His son tragically died, and he sort of as an engineer, super smart guy, ex-Google, I think, was very sort of scientific about trying to find out, okay, how can I still find a way to live and be happy even with this really the worst thing that can ever happen to you is your child dying. And so, that's a book that I recommend is what I'm saying there. Solve for Happiness by Mo Gawdat. But we're talking here still, whatever the circumstances, and you have to judge where it's, this is not a priority right now. I need to take care of myself and my family, and that's absolutely the way to go. And then other times it's like, no, in fact, I do want to learn and grow and develop this business. My career is important right now. I can't just take a step back from that right now. I want to pursue this. I am intrinsically motivated to keep going. I'm in it for the long haul. And despite these challenges and setbacks, I am going to learn, grow, and move forwards. Then having that resilience is so powerful. So that's it. We've been looking at the traits of sort of thinking like an entrepreneur, whether you are an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur or anything in between. We've looked at self-awareness, intrinsic motivation, courage, adaptability, growth mindset, accountability, and resilience. If you missed any of those episodes, then do go back and have a listen. If there's anything you think I've missed, I'd love to hear from you. So you can email me at podcast@onestepoutside.com, ping me on LinkedIn or Instagram, or wherever else we're connected. And I'd love to hear from you. I know there are things, of course, that I've missed out on. I'd love to hear your insights, your lessons, your own experiences, stories of perhaps where you did exhibit some of these things, perhaps where you were missing it and that held you back. So do please get in touch. I'm not loving just talking out into the empty vacuum of space. So I much prefer when you respond to me and tell me how you're getting on and help me learn with feedback as well, learn and grow. I'm happy to take your feedback. We'll have another interview next week with someone other than me talking as well, which is always good. And then we'll see where we go in November and December. My goodness, can't believe it. Almost the end of 2023. What is going to happen in 24? Well, we're going to take ownership of that, aren't we? And set our intentions for next year. But in the meantime, I wish you resilience, growth, and courage. And I'll see you back here next week. Bye for now. If you're looking to get unstuck and break through to your next level of success, then your first step is this. Download the free business assessment to identify the gaps that are preventing your growth so that you can take actionable steps towards building a more successful and sustainable business. You can download the scorecard at onestepoutside.com/scorecard. That's onestepoutside.com/scorecard.